Some big old news is early reviews. For Battlefield 6 early reviews, we now know, thanks to Charlie Intel, that Battlefield 6 content embargo lifts on October 9th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern. Stay tuned for content from creators and more on the game at that time.
You say Eastern?
Now, I'm not saying I am a content creator, but I'm saying you should stay tuned for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific time. I think that's all I can say. On the other hand, there is a video out here by Open World Games about early reviews. It says the early reviews say it all for Battlefield 6. Now, I don't exactly know how the early reviews can say it all before the review embargo, which is tomorrow. That is why I'm curious about this video. It's picked up about 400,000 views in 2 days, so obviously it's saying something good, and I'm curious what that's going to be. But yeah, 8 a.m. tomorrow. It is 24 hours before the game goes live. As far as I'm concerned, no single player content can go up until the next day at launch time. At that time, I am going to be streaming the campaign single player all the way through, and then that night I will have a campaign review go up, and then early the next day I will have an ending explain video, or I might switch the two of those. I think I might switch the two of those. But yeah, for now, early reviews is what we got.
So here we go. It's finally happening. Battlefield 6.
I actually saw the thumbnail for this. I was like, a weird name for a channel that covers Battlefield. Well, it doesn't cover just Battlefield, but open world games.
Is about to release in only a matter of days on October 10th, and only lucky few have played a new updated build since the beta.
Oh yeah, this is a good point. So the game has a day one update, and the day one update is beefy. Now, those patch notes have not come out yet. My guess is probably tomorrow.
Not 100% what we'll be doing tonight, but yeah,
we'll
just be chilling.
Changed quite a bit since then for the launch of the game. So has the movement system changed for the better? Will we actually get a server browser at launch? What about locked-in open weapons for classes? What's the final word on that? And what are these new concerns about the sniper being absolutely overpowered? And are those maps big enough for a Battlefield game? Plus, some mixed reception is going around about the Battlefield 6 single-player campaign, and one massive feature that can completely change the
I understand what this is going to do. So this video is taking all of the pre-launch information from various things, not just like the things you need to know before you play, but all of like the reviews and spec. This is going to be a good video because this is going to include everything. Like, this is basically going to be our last video before the launch, as well as a dive into everything before. This is perfect.
Forever, we have to talk about that. So yeah, today we're diving into what's being said, what's working, what's worrisome, and whether this could be the return to form for the franchise it so badly needs. And don't worry, no campaign spoilers here. So let's jump in and let's break it all down. And by the way, I'm doing a very big Battlefield 6 giveaway. So for a chance to win a copy of the game, see that link in the pinned top comment.
Here's the thing, everybody's saying, all the people who got to try it early are saying that it's like meh. And like I said last night, I find things that people find not great to be fun. So I don't know, I have high hopes that I think I'll enjoy it. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the greatest thing ever, but I definitely think I'll be enjoying it.
Good luck. All right, so we've got to talk about the core experience of Battlefield 6, and yes, that is the actual gameplay itself. Now, movement will not feel like the beta, so if you're expecting to jump around and have perfect aim while doing so, that's not going to be happening anymore.
Thank God.
There's been significant changes to...
So the two things that have happened here is more recoil, and two, less bouncy movement. So bunny hopping, things like that, they've limited it.
Original video, he didn't even link it. All right, well, I saw it earlier. It's fine. This one right here. I think we might as well just watch this.
Happening. Battlefield 6 is a... So we've got to talk about the core experience of Battlefield 6, and yes, that is the actual gameplay itself. Now, movement will not feel like the beta, so if you're expecting to jump around and have perfect aim while doing so, that's not going to be happening anymore. There's been significant changes to several key systems like aim assist and move.
Yeah, probably Yeah, see, this one's in higher resolution, so it doesn't look like terrible.
Movement here. Players complained it felt far too arcadey in the beta, and there was no punishment for jumping around. DICE has decided to update this, of course, penalizing players' aim while jumping and dodging around, essentially slowing down the pace of the game. Besides, this is not Call of Duty. You should be squatting up, examining the situation, and working together to tackle objectives strategically. This isn't a game about doing some sort of 360 no-scope to some dude across the map. So I'm really glad DICE took the feedback to heart. We want a true Battlefield game.
Yeah, let's not.
Now, as for aim assist, DICE has also updated this as well since the.
I mean, like, you know, Battlefield 2042 is the perfect example. It's annoying how people can get away with bullets just not hitting them simply because they jumped, or they were sliding, or whatever the case may be, whatever movement that allows them to avoid bullets. Like, there's not a single human being on this planet that could avoid a bullet. You know, especially if they're within medium range of a rifle. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad that they're going the opposite direction of 2042 and not doing the whole sliding. They're doing, like I said, it sounds like it's more akin to Battlefield 1, which has a slide, but it's mostly something you want to use when getting into cover, rather than just being like, I'm going to slide jump everywhere, which I actually prefer. A more realistic idea of, like, you know, if you could slide in real life, which you can't really, let's be honest, unless you're on a baseball field. If you could, you probably would just slide into cover. Nobody's going to slide out of cover. It's ridiculous. So,
data, snap zoom is not going to be a thing, and they are going very light with aim assist, now humanizing the experience, as DICE calls it. We'll see how much casual players take this change, but I think the core Battlefield audience will most likely love this, as it's going to make the game feel more realistic.
Okay, so reducing aim assist, I don't agree with. There wasn't a whole lot to begin with in the beta. So now it's just going to force us controller users to actually adjust our sensitivities when aiming in, because that's the only way we can really maybe get away with being able to hit our shots better. You know, with the and I've been doing that with 2042. I adjusted different zoom level sensitivities, and it did work out, but aim assist was also there to kind of help a little bit. You know, it wasn't overpowered or anything in 2042. Sometimes it just didn't even feel like it didn't work. So, at times it didn't feel like it didn't work. Or at times it didn't feel like it worked. There we go. Got it. I knew I was going to get it eventually. So I don't know if I agree with this. We'll have to see how it plays out in the game. If it feels like it's pretty much the same as the beta, but they're saying they're lowering it. I don't know why they would do that. Aim assist, I don't understand this obsession with people being against aim assist. I just don't get it. It's not a cheat code. It doesn't auto snap. It doesn't shoot for us. And I've said this a million times. There are times where it's a hindrance, actually. It makes it worse. So you have to turn it down. But if it's not strong enough, then those of us who are playing on controller have a huge... we're at a huge disadvantage against those playing on mouse and keyboard. I don't know.
At least according to the initial reactions from the most recent playtests. Now, one other complaint issued against the Battlefield 6 beta was how easy it was to spot players with the spot mechanic.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to be seeing a nerf, so you'll have to be more dependent on your skill and vision versus spamming the spot button to see and engage other players. Also, we have to talk about health regeneration. DICE has some mindful changes here, slowing the health regeneration quite a bit, meaning you will need to take cover more and most likely be dependent on squatting up, which means the support role here has just become more impactful for the full launch of the game.
Now, the problem with that, of course, is that that's just going to force a lot of people to just want to play support, which is not good. You know, support has always been my class, and I don't want to be on a squad that's full of support players. There's no variety. You know, some people will obviously, I think the two classes here that are going to be probably the most popular are engineer and support, because engineer can deal with the tanks, support can give them ammo and health, and that's all you really need. You don't need snipers, you don't need freaking assault players. So there's definitely some issues with the balance of the classes already. I can already tell personally. I'm not saying that people won't play snipers and, you know, assault characters, because people like their classes. They like they have their preferences for certain classes. There are people who just live and breathe sniping. So it's not like we won't see, but I think the dominant classes are definitely going to be assault and engineer, or not assault, support and engineer, especially now that support offers both health and ammo, which is I'm happy that it's my class, but at the same time, it's not great. I think the assault class should have kept the medic bag. Obviously, in 2042, the support class was, depending on what specialist you played, for the most part, you could dish out health and ammo. Obviously, you could do that with Falk. You couldn't really do that with any of the other ones. Irish and was it Crawford? But you couldn't really do that with other supports except for Falk. She's the only one who is a true medic. And then you just give her an ammo bag and boom, you can dish out both ammo and health. So it did happen in 2042, and we didn't see a whole lot of people playing, you know, support. And the people who did kind of sucked at it. But in this game, it does feel different, because now you don't have to play a specific specialist. You just need to play support, and the one bag dishes out both. It doesn't really give variety or any kind of responsibility to the assault class like it used to. And I think that's an issue, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
And remember all the sniper glints on Liberation Peak? Yes,
Yeah.
I do too. Well, thankfully, DICE is nerfing the sniper glints, making them less visible. But that doesn't mean the snipers aren't there, of course. So you're probably going to want to still take an APC and pepper the hills with some suppressive fire just for good measure.
That's another thing that I've been saying for years now, is scope glint is the dumbest thing that's ever been introduced into first-person shooters. I don't particularly like it when, you know, I get sniped by somebody I can't see, but ain't that the point, though? Like, there's a kill cam. You get killed by that sniper, it'll show you where he is, and then you just go back and you shoot him in the head. That's it. There's really nothing to it. With how many games offer kill cams now, there's really nothing to it. And if he's dumb enough, he'll snipe you and he'll stay there. So you just go back, you know where he is, you maybe find a way around, and you get up on him. That's it. We don't need scope glints to make the sniper class less effective. It really is. Every time I snipe, if I'm sniping for real with 4 times magnification or higher, I lose my head like 99% of the time. It really sucks because everybody can see you, which is why the one permanent attachment for me is going to be the glint hider, or whatever they got to call it, the glint screen. So that'll definitely be a permanent attachment for me if I'm sniping, because I heard that it reduces the glint, it doesn't get rid of it, which I personally think it should just get rid of it. But either way, I'm using that because I don't like sniping as it is. I may not even use it because you guys know how I snipe. I'm up there at the front line, not really sniping. It's a longer range rifle that I have equipped, essentially, and then I carry my sidearm for close quarters.
So yeah, I can't wait to squad up with you all and feel the changes for myself. Now, with that being said, it seems like overall we're seeing mostly positive hands-on feedback from the most recent play sessions. Now, however, there are concerns about map size and destruction, but DICE did make it clear that destruction is there purposefully and not meant to distract from the gameplay. And we're going to talk about that further on in the video. so stay tuned. But we got to talk about some systems that are iconic to the series, which are returning, but also offer their own unique flair to make this a Battlefield 6 experience, making it stand out from the...
Now, what I can say, though, is that I was just going to say, going back to the aim assist thing, we tried mouse and keyboard during the beta. It felt really good, actually. I'm just really bad at it. So if push comes to shove, which I hope it doesn't, because I am a controller user, I'm just more comfortable with it, I will use a mouse and keyboard because I've done it before. I hate skits, and because I've done it before. So I'm not opposed to swapping to mouse and keyboard on my PS, because it felt really good. I don't know how they did it, but there are very few games on PS5 that allow you to use mouse and keyboard that feel good to use the mouse and keyboard on. There's always some weird input lag involved in it, and it just doesn't feel great. But this felt bang on. So I am hoping they didn't kill aim assist too much, but we'll see.
Rest of the games, but some of these systems are
What are you up to, Skits?
definitely ruffling some feathers, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So the big one obviously is the class system, which returns with Assault, Support, Engineer, and Recon, each with distinct perks and gadgets. So there's one big difference compared to the classic class system of games like Battlefield 3 and 4. These classes will use an open weapon system in the regular conquest mode, meaning that class identity is less about what gun you carry and more about gadgets and secondary abilities. However, hold up, there is some good news here. DICE did confirm they will be
just hanging out. Well, I'm glad you chose my little stream to hang out in.
Offering a closed weapon playlist at launch, so
Miss Spooky VTuber.
players can still play the game with a closed weapon system, meaning that snipers will be locked to the sniper class and other related weapons will be locked to their specific classes. Let me know, are you guys going into an open or closed lobby?
Here's my take on this, and I'm, like I said, I'm with Jack Frags on this, and there's a lot of other people that are saying the same thing. DICE needs to pick a lane with this open and closed like they just put out stats. I was watching Ink TV, and I think he had talked about it. Yeah, he was going through like the most recent. You messed out me life. Just don't eat my brain. And he went over what they had said in this. Basically, it was an X post. It was a really long X post, an update as to what they noticed during the betas, different percentages of, different things like weapons used, and one of the stats was how often people were playing closed weapons as opposed to open weapons. And they said that there was basically no difference between the two. Both got pretty much the same play time. So they're saying, yeah, so it doesn't really matter. They're basically just saying, we told you so, in a nice way, but it's kind of a dick way to say it. It's like, yeah, so, the only one that got the open weapons, I think open weapon system playlist got like a percentage more playtime than closed weapon playlist. So they're just like, yeah, we'll keep the closed weapons in there if you want, but we kind of told you so. And it's like, the only reason that people are playing the open weapon system is because you're limiting the closed weapon systems to certain game modes. But that's the problem. Stop limiting closed and open weapon systems to certain game modes, because most people are going to choose the game modes that they want to play over whether it's open or closed weapons. It's dumb. So they're kind of gaslighting us into thinking, oh yeah, no, it's pretty much the same. It's like, no, it's not. You guys kind of curated the lists in the game modes in which you could use closed weapons. So I don't know. I still think that they should pick a lane, and I personally think they should pick the closed weapons lane. But I will admit that during the beta, I didn't really care either way. Like I personally still played my class with my class weapon. So I played support with the machine guns. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it should be. Plus, you get the bonus if you do use the weapons associated with that class. So, engineer with SMGs, assault rifles with assault class, snipers with recon. So, you do get bonuses, but it doesn't hinder you from using other weapons with that class. So, if I ever just wanted to just stick as a support, but also want to work on leveling the assault weapons, I could do that. I personally don't play that way. Call me a role player, I guess. I don't know. But it's just like, that's essentially what I do with Battlefield, just like, you know, an RPG where I feel like, or what was it? Oh, like, perfect example was Saints Row the Third. You know, for whatever reason, I don't know why I did this, but, oh no, not Saints Row, sorry, Grand Theft Auto 5. I was playing single player, and depending on who I was playing, Michael, Franklin, I would turn to certain radio stations because I feel like that's what the character would want to listen to, that sort of thing. So, you know, I do something similar with Battlefield where when I'm playing a certain class, I play a certain weapon, period. And it keeps the game unique to, you know, it keeps it fresh, because when you're forced to play a certain class because you want to use a certain weapon, it kind of keeps you in the know. Trevor was he was probably the best character. It keeps you in the know of how each class works, and then that gives you a little bit more knowledge as to what to do when you come across those classes, how to work with those classes if you're on a squad. So I think it's just beneficial to play all these different classes. But it's just the way I play the game, and it's worked out for me pretty well. So, you know, open weapon system, it's not that big a deal, but I just wish that DICE would pick a lane.
Sound off in the comments down below. However, there's also some new stuff here which is stirring up some opinions. The assault class, for example, is getting a large hammer which can easily knock
that's any class. I don't know why he said the assault class. Any class can carry the hammer, as far as I understand. It replaces your melee weapon, but any class can carry the hammer.
through walls and obstruct.
The assault class gets the ladder. That's what the assault class gets in replacement of the med bag, which I still think the ladder's cool, but I feel like it should be a different gadget, not a class specific one. Give the assault class the med bag, leave the ammo bag with the support class, and there we go.
Instructions sounds like a lot of
Everybody's
fun,
useful
but
again.
there is a few holdouts here saying that this is far too arcadey for a Battlefield game and comes across as unrealistic. So will we be seeing a...
That's not entirely true. I mean, okay. Is it a bit cheesy that you can knock down a wall of a building with 2 sledgehammer swings? Yes. That's a little bit much. I'll give them that much. But it's not unrealistic that they would use a hammer, a sledgehammer, to open a door. I don't know if they would use it to break the floor, but it would be used to open doors. You know, or the door ram that you see SWAT teams use. That's essentially a sledgehammer. It's the same thing. You nom away, I'll be right here.
Nerf to the hammer's damage
So
in
I
time.
I don't think that the sledgehammer's that big a deal. I think it's a cool idea.
Think this should happen
I do
or
think
not.
it
A lot of
definitely
players
needs
think
to be,
that yes, this should
nerfed
happen.
a little
Now,
bit.
the assault is also getting a retractable ladder for easily climbing practically anywhere. Some are concerned that this may unbalance maps, while others love the idea about getting up anywhere, basically on a perch and dominating the map. But only time will tell if this mechanic is loved or hated, but
I watched Jack Fragg's coverage on the ladder. It doesn't look that bad. It honestly doesn't look that bad. It looks like it's a very useful tool. It gets you into onto higher elevation in a quicker fashion than going up the stairs inside the building. You can just go on the outside up to the second floor window. And it gives you more of a chance to possibly get a flank off, potentially. So, needless to say, I don't think the assault ladder is going to be that bad of an idea. The way that it looked like it was being used when Jack Frag showed it off, it looked pretty useful to me, but it didn't look overpowered. Also, I just want to address, I'm not trying to bring anything down. I know that some of you were here when I announced this, but my mother has been in the hospital the whole week, pretty much since last week. And things are not progressing in a positive way. She is being brought home. They will be doing hospice, but prospects aren't looking good. So if I seem exhausted, it's because I am. I've been talking with, family, friends, or whatever, just telling them, look, I honestly don't know how to process this situation. I just know that it's made me mentally very, very tired. So if I look or sound, I don't know, tired, melancholy, muted, whatever adjective you want to use to describe my mood, I'm trying to just keep busy. And yes, I'm using you guys to keep busy. Sorry, I don't mean to use you, but it's what I do. But streaming and, obviously going to work and has really been able to keep my mind off of it for the most part. Obviously, I have to deal with the reality of the situation at some point, and I don't know how I'm going to handle it, but that's just really what's going on. Because I know I don't sound normal right now. Because I didn't know what to do tonight. I didn't really feel like playing another night of 2042. I think I'm pretty much good with that game. I honestly don't know if I'll ever go back to that game. I put so much time into it. But obviously, like I said, when we get Battlefield 6 and we are I've potentially done everything or all that I could do, and we're just down to me leveling in the game, then I'll probably reinstall Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and we'll get back into the swing of things with those games. But I'm pretty much done with Battlefield 2042. I think I've had enough time in that game. So tonight I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I know that I wanted to just check up on some details about Battlefield 6, and then maybe we'll play something. I fired up Painkiller Overdose on here, and it obviously works. It just sucks that I have to go back through all those levels, and I don't know if I want to do that on stream. But I definitely want to maybe do something instead of just sit here and watch videos or something. But anyway, I figured I'd keep you guys up to date on that. She's been in the hospital. She's on... they're draining the fluids from her lungs and her kidneys. And it's basically all they can do. She's unfortunately too frail to be injected with any anesthesia or the contrast for the MRI, because one of the specialists said that any bit of that could actually end up being fatal for her. So, I mean, they tried, but she's too weak. So she'll be going home, and she'll be taken care of until either she gets better, which I don't know that'll happen, or she goes. So, just to give you guys an update on that.
Having extra maneuverability around the battlefield will be nice. And for recon, it will no longer be getting the spawn beacon. That is also going to be headed over the assault class.
So the assault class gets two gadgets. You got the beacon and now the assault ladder. He's wrong about the sledgehammer, though. Sledgehammer can be used by anybody, as far as I know.
Recon, by the way, there's a bigger problem that is beginning to appear with the sniper, and that is the specific attachment. Now,
hey, Uka, thanks, man.
Initial reports say the rangefinder, a 15-point add-on you can slap onto any bolt-action sniper rifle, is absolutely OP, You could power it with any scope, hit a button, and boom, your rifle is instantly zeroed to the exact range.
Yeah, Jack put out a video on that thing too. The rangefinder is completely broken in this game. It's unbelievable. I'm like, who thought that was a good idea? You literally, there's older rangefinders in older Battlefields. You had to set, it was always a round number. You'd set 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 meters or whatever in the rangefinder, and that would be roughly where, or the rangefinder would be just showing you how far away the person is, and then you would set your rifle to that range or to a range that's close to it, but you'd still have to adjust, you know, a little bit here and there. The closer you got to the range, the less elevation you'd have to account for, but you still had to put some skill into it. The rangefinder just made it a little bit easier. This thing, you literally, like you said, you hold a button and it sets it to the exact range, so you never have to zero your rifle. It's just always dead center. It's so broken. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.
Of your target. That means bullet drop, by the way, basically doesn't exist anymore. Now, if you played Battlefield 4, you will remember the rangefinder. That thing gave you the distance, but you still had to adjust your scope and actually account for bullet drop yourself. It required some skill and timing, but in Battlefield 6, this one attachment strips away a huge chunk of the skill curve for sniping. It doesn't just help bad snipers, it also makes good snipers even deadlier.
Yeah,
imagine players sprinting around, quick scoping, and instantly headshotting people hundreds of meters away without even breaking a sweat. Well,
now there's a little bit of a delay when holding down the button to set the rangefinder. There's a slight, like, half-second delay before it sets it, but it's essentially no time at all if you get used to that.
See if this becomes a real big concern. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we saw significant changes around how the rangefinder worked pretty quickly after launch. Now, Battlefield 6 also offers combat roles, peeking and leaning, and even the ability to hitch onto vehicles when seats are fully occupied, which
I love that feature where you can just ride on the back of a vehicle if the vehicle's full. I thought that was such a cool update for the game. I'm glad to see the rolling is back. I personally am not bothered by it. I actually enjoy it because you take less damage when falling from a higher height. So little parkour inside the game never really hurt nobody.
I love this feature. It's really, really cool. Also, not to mention, it makes for some absolutely hilarious moments too. And one of these,
I still think that you should be able, just like you can be in, like, let's say for example in 2042, you can be in a little, at the back of an APC, you could be in a little spot that is just for infantry. It's not like a turret or anything, but you're in this little spot in the back. You can repair the tank if you want to while you're back there if you're an engineer. You can't do that when you're hanging off the side of a tank in Battlefield 6, which I think you should be able to, personally. I honestly do. I mean, I get why they won't do it, probably because of the fact that it's like, it would be too easy, but then again, all you're doing is hanging off you're not going to be able to shoot your gun from the back. You could just maybe repair. So I just think you should be able to do that because, I mean, you stick out like a sore thumb. You're hanging off the back of a tank. How could people not shoot you? So I don't know. I still think they should allow us to do that instead of having to run behind the tank and possibly get too far behind because the tank went into boost mode and just flew off. It'd be nice to be able to hang off the back and repair it if you can. That sort of thing. Standout
features praised by pretty much everyone is the new drag and revive system. Instead of reviving in place,
I've never seen so many people revive people in Battlefield ever. There's so many people just dedicated to getting your ass out of the fire and getting you back in the game. It was really cool.
An ally to cover while reviving them. Absolutely love it. This is the sort of thing that is like a major improvement and moves the franchise forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very good.
Also, we got to talk a little bit about destruction. This has been a hot topic for sure. Is it an improvement on Battlefield or not? And I think overall, the sentiment is that destruction has been amazing since the beta, and even from players that have played the most recent build, they're saying destruction is crazy. In fact, there was a crazy leak that showcased an entire building completely collapsing in the Battle Royale mode. A player was able to absolutely level that building with very little of its infrastructure actually intact. So it definitely brings back the Siege of Shanghai vibes. So we'll see how far we could take destruction in the final build. It sounds like it's going to be crazy, especially on that Battle Royale map. Now, when comparing destruction to previous Battlefield titles, it's still a massive upgrade with dirt and dust filling the air, tons of debris flying everywhere, and massive structures still toppling over.
I think the visual aspect of the destruction in Battlefield 6 is the best the franchise has ever seen, for sure. In terms of its complexity, I don't know about that. You know, obviously, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to facilitate here are maps that feel like there's been a war there, but aren't just completely leveled. Because even when you look at history, real history, and like say the atomic bombs that were dropped, somehow there were still structures standing, like buildings, parts of buildings were still standing. So to level an entire building like back in Bad Company 2, it would definitely ruin the flow of the map, because then you just see people going over parts of the terrain that used to have buildings instead of having any kind of cover, so on and so forth. So I really liked the level of destruction that they had. It was enough to kind of just keep you, you know, keep it interesting, but not so much to where it's like, oh, I have nowhere to run, which is definitely something we need. It's definitely a huge step up from like Battlefield or Call of Duty. I'm going to say Modern Warfare 2019, where, I mean, any Call of Duty, really, none of them have any destruction. I don't know why. All these years later, their main game mode is 6v6. You can't do a little destruction, you know? So, at least it's got more than that. But it's definitely, it feels like it's more than even Battlefield 1. I mean, Battlefield 1, there's not a lot of buildings that, you know, are in the game unless, you know, you're in Amiens, which is obviously the city. But, you know, basically almost none of those buildings are destructible. You basically can take out some of the face of the building, and that's about it. There's really not a whole lot of destruction in that. So this game definitely has a lot more than that, and a lot more than Battlefield 5. I do kind of wish they brought back the building mechanic from 5. I thought that was a great addition to the franchise as well. Just building up fortifications and stuff like that. But I guess they just, I don't know. I guess it just wasn't as popular as they expected it to be. Like I said, I liked it. So I don't know.
Now we're going to talk about one big controversy that is stirring up major conversations within the Battlefield 6 community, and that is a lack of a server browser. Now, DICE is still not willing to give into overall player demand that we...
That's another feature that they've been kind of beating around the bush with, and it's really annoying because it's like the server browser is so important. It's so important to keep the life cycle of a Battlefield game going, because it's just like you can look for servers that you want to play. Like certain servers will have certain maps, certain modes, and you can stay. There's no remixing of teams after the round ends. You just stay in the server and you just keep going. Whereas the normal matchmaking system is purely just play one game, get kicked out, find a whole other room. I don't particularly care for it. I've never really liked it. That's a hell of a name. Going back and playing old games like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, because BF5 didn't really have a server browser. It sort of does. It was the advanced search, but it basically would just have servers that are going at the moment, so you couldn't just there weren't persistent servers. But going back to Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 and seeing that beautiful server browser, you could look at all the servers, which ones are populated, even sometimes when back in the day when the numbers were fudged a bit. Some people figured out how to fake numbers. I don't know how they did that, but to make it look like it was fuller than it was. It was still necessary. I mean, the games are still being played today because of it. So, I don't know. I think the game needs a server browser, and they're beating around the bush. They're coming up with half-assed solutions to it. There's like, oh yeah, there's a server browser in Portal mode. And then they got the whole custom search. You guys saw it during the beta, where you can tell it what you were looking for, but it may or may not put you in that. It's like, okay. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Be right back. Okay. But yeah, so just to remind everybody, Friday is still going on. Okay, I took Friday off so we can get the launch of Battlefield 6. I'll be starting early in the morning, 8 a.m. specifically. So we're going to start with the campaign, and I'm really hoping that I do like it, because again, I've liked things that other people haven't. It's all subjective anyway, so hopefully the campaign turns out to be good. If not, then whatever. I mean, I know the multiplayer is good, so. And then sometime later they'll show us they'll release the Battle Royale, and we'll give that a shot as well. The new and improved Firestorm. I don't know if that's what they're calling it, but that's what we're calling it for the time being, because they haven't given us a name. There was also an image that they shared on X that showed like the layout of like when season 1 starts, which season 1 starts on the 28th. So there's that. And they've also got a nice little snowy theme to the Empire State map for December for Christmas, so that'll be fun.
We want a proper working server browser. Strangely enough, Portal mode will be receiving its own server browser, but the core experience will be without it. Here's the hoping that DICE listens to their fans and actually adds in a working server browser post-launch. But again, they're really holding out, and they just want you to go through regular matchmaking.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what do they have to lose to just putting in a server browser? What do they got to lose? It'll keep people playing their game. That's what I don't understand. What is so special about a matchmaking system that... No, I don't plan on getting that game. I don't really support Sucker Punch. You know, I like them, but the main voice actress, Erika Ishii, she was an issue, but I was gonna be looking past that because I was gonna play the game in Japanese anyway. And then they had that one developer speak out on Charlie Kirk's murder, and they were celebrating it and all this other shit, and I'm like, I can't support a company that does that. If, because it's a Sony exclusive, it eventually comes out on the PlayStation Plus program, I'll play it then, because at least I didn't pay them for it. But I can't bring myself to support a company that allows developers like that to work for them, especially a company who took so long to get rid of that person. And plus, I watched a review of it today. It is just one review, but I have been hearing pretty much the same thing from everybody that I've heard has given reviews about. It's basically just Ghost of Tsushima with a different character. It visually looks a little better. And obviously the gameplay is pretty solid, but overall, the only things that really stand out to a lot of people are the visuals, the music, and the combat. That's it. The story is garbage, apparently. It's pretty bland. It's pretty Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, how many times can you tell a revenge story and have it not be the same thing as the last revenge story? Let's be honest. I just, with that plus all the controversy surrounding that game with the developers and the voice actors, I just don't want to support that. If I want to play a game like it, I'll play Ghost of Tsushima. It's got everything it has. Not everything, but it's got most things. It's got great music, visuals, gameplay, characters, was really looking forward to it, and then that developer had to open their dumbass mouth.
Server browser or not, I think if the community makes enough noise about this, we might actually see a server browser in time.
Ghost of Tsushima is way better in terms of story. That's what I hear. Like, Ghost of Tsushima, people are like, Ghost of Tsushima's story was like, it was all right. I loved it personally. I thought it was very well done. But it wasn't like something that wowed people, but people appreciated it. It was a good story. And quite frankly, I think they could have just continued that. But Ghost of Yotei, because the reviewer that I watched, his name is SkillUp, he said, I think he summed it up perfectly. Ghost of Tsushima was the perfection of the open world formula. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind the combat is amazing. The combat is solid no matter what. I think they got that down pat. But Ghost of Tsushima basically perfected the Ubisoft open world formula. So there really wasn't anywhere to go with it from there. Ghost of Yotei just did the same thing. It didn't take the genre anywhere. It just used the same genre, the same perfected version of that genre, and then made a new story out of it. And that's essentially it. So, you know, and I think he summed it up best where he said, look, I'm willing to try a game if it does one thing really well. And while it does the open world really well, the story is not enough to keep me invested in it. And I'm like, that's a pretty good point. Like, narrative isn't necessary for a game, but when a game is being released with a narrative in mind and the narrative suffers, but you've played the gameplay before and you're not really feeling like playing it again, it's not really enough to go back to playing it. You know, and I still got so much to do in Tsushima, so I'm not really chomping at the bit to pick up Ghost of Yotei. Plus, there was almost no fanfare when the game released. You'd expect a much bigger presentation, but it was all little chunks of information here and there, and then poof, it's release day, and nobody knew about it.
Now, let's talk about one of the biggest selling points for Battlefield 6. And
I'm of course very well aware of the release date of Battlefield 6, but then again, so is everybody else. We got none of that with Ghost of Yotei. There was nothing surrounding, you know, people weren't like locked into the release date. People are locked into Battlefield 6's release date, you know, so.
And of course, that's going to be the vehicles here, which I've seen some pretty good buffs since the beta, by the way. Early impressions say that this is where Battlefield 6 really shines. Tanks, helicopters, and
something else, maybe United Front and get Sleeping. Thank you. We need a Sleeping Dogs 2. I've been chomping at the bit for Sleeping Dogs 2 for years at this point. I loved the first game. Absolutely adored it. But, you know, Square Enix owns that property, so they need to get off their asses and do it.
Even lighter transports.
Unless it was sold, right? Because Square Enix sold off like Tomb Raider and Hitman and all that. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Feel heavy, responsive, and genuinely dangerous in a way that Battlefield 6 fans have been missing. And the tanks made big waves during the beta. Not only did they dish out devastating firepower, but the secondary gunner seats were called out by several testers as ridiculously...
Oof, that's a statement and a half, Uka. Come on. I mean, Sleeping Dogs is really good, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love GTA, but Sleeping Dogs was a really... Man, that was so cool. Because they did stuff in Sleeping Dogs that GTA didn't even do, so... It was different. Same genre, but it felt different.
Powerful riding shotgun on a tank wasn't just a support role anymore. Secondary gunners were shredding infantry and even putting pressure on other vehicles. Some players admitted they straight up feared tanks in the beta, and that's exactly the kind of dread a Battlefield tank should inspire.
Right.
Helicopters also felt great too this time around, though there were some complaints from the beta. Pilots had to initially get used to the difference in controls from past Battlefield titles, but once they got the hang of it, most skilled pilots had praise for how smooth the controls felt with a balance of precision and power. However, some of you guys felt helicopters and vehicles felt too slow. The good news is practically every air and ground vehicle are going to be seeing some kind of speed buff to get you back into the action quicker and make things a bit more snappy. And air battles between helis and jets just absolutely look cinematic here, while swooping low over infantry squads can completely change the flow of a match. Not gonna lie, helicopters were easily one of my #1 go-to vehicles in the game.
I used to love flying helicopters. I've mentioned this before in past Battlefields, especially Battlefield 3, because the flares were more frequent, so you could avoid getting shot down, unless, of course, people dogpiled on you. Then, yeah, flares did nothing. But then everybody complained and bitched and whined about the fact that, like, oh man, the flares are overpowered. And in Battlefield 4, they got nerfed to the ground, so you had to use a lot more environmental cover, if there was any. And yeah, okay, sure enough, those pilots, they were pretty nifty. They were pretty good. But every time I went up into helicopters, my favorite aerial vehicle to fly, every time I went up, I was locked on immediately and I couldn't get unlocked. So it's like, but every time somebody else went up on the enemy team, no big deal. They're up in the air for like 30 minutes. It's like, what the hell? It was so frustrating what they did with the helicopter flares and stuff like that. So, and even in the Battlefield 6 beta, you know, I'm seeing footage of people flying the helicopters. They're constantly having to pop their flares and then duck down, especially on this map, duck down into the ravine so they can't get locked on and all this other shit. And it's ridiculous.
When they became available, and it was a blast switching seats between pilot seat and gunner seat to take down enemies below. It's the definitive Battlefield experience. With that said, there's also a bit of a split in the community with the health and armor of vehicles. While many love how
it takes
powerful
so
these vehicles
long
feel,
to repair a
others
tank.
believe they should be even tankier. In the beta, tanks and helis sometimes went down too fast, faster than expected, leaving some veteran Battlefield players calling for a health buff to restore that old school dominance. Either way, vehicles are once again...
Well, here's the thing, though. That's the whole point of the engineer, though, with the torch that they've got now. You know, a lot of you guys probably don't even remember. A lot of people don't really remember. Each class has a specialty now. You have a special ability. I forgot to use it constantly, so it's really kind of just there. But most people don't remember that it's there. But the engineer had their ability allows them to repair things faster. They basically go into overdrive on their torch. And when you have enough engineers on a tank, like we did in the beta, if you guys remember, there was a one time where it's just a whole, like, there was like 5 or 6 of us behind this one tank. The damn thing was not dying. So if your team can cooperate in that respect where, you know, yeah, nobody wants to play the roles anymore because it's all open weapon systems and they're just like, well, you know, we'll use whatever we want. But I did say at the beginning that I still think that support and engineer are probably going to be the 2 most popular classes when the game comes out. Well, kills are fun, but I honestly, dude, you never get more points than when you're doing your class's job. So resupplying for support, repping with engineers, and spotting with snipers. The only class that should be getting kills is the assault class. Not should be getting kills, but the only class that should have the most kills is the assault class because that's their job. That's all they do. If they had the med bag, it'd be even better. But you get more points doing class-specific things, and I love that. But if the team cooperates, then tanks don't die very easily. But you have to have that coordination.
One of the major backbones of the Battlefield experience, whether you're behind the wheel of a tank, piloting a chopper, or clinging on as an infantry praying not to get vaporized, the message is clear here. Vehicles in Battlefield 6 matter, and they're back to being the absolute monsters of the battlefield. All right, so we got to talk about the multiplayer maps. This is where Battlefield 6 will live or die. The maps have to be good, and from the beta, there's only been one complaint that I've really noticed. The maps felt too small and too intimate. However, this was only...
Well, here's my thing, is that I play Breakthrough all the time. Smaller maps are perfect for Breakthrough because it's fast, it's frenetic. I'm not looking for it to be Call of Duty, but I do. You guys have seen it time and time again. Every time I have to play, Engineer's the best. Well, it's one of the best. It's one of the better supports, obviously the best. But Engineer is a good class because it's so useful and so needed, especially with Battlefield when combined arms is such a huge portion of the game. We kind of need people to take out the damn tanks. And there's not enough people who are smart enough to do that. I forgot what I was saying otherwise. I forgot. Anyway, let me go back and... Oh, map size. So, I'm okay with the map sizes personally. I think that the worst map in the beta was Empire State. It was awful. I can't put my finger on it. There's something about it that was just terrible. And I don't like it. Not for Breakthrough. It's probably good for something like Conquest or whatever, but I don't like it for Breakthrough. It was really bad. What I was saying was, you guys have seen it. Whenever I play Conquest, I'm so bored. it's such a boring game mode because I play infantry for the most part, and when all the vehicles are gone, all I got is to take my feet and go. So Conquest is a boring game mode. I like the fast freneticism of Breakthrough, but it also gives that Battlefield feeling to it. So, because you got the vehicles and stuff like that, you got some vehicles, depending on the map. So I was okay with the map size. It didn't really bug me that much, but I know people, obviously with Conquest, they want the maps to be big. So I don't blame them for complaining about that. But for me, it's fine. Just, I don't know how they can fix Empire State. It was not built well with Breakthrough in mind. So
really noticed the maps felt too small and too intimate. However, this was only a slice of the full pie, and the latest build of the game offered players a chance to play on one of the biggest maps in Battlefield 6, and that is Mirak Valley. I'll talk about that in a moment, but let's take a look at the maps we'll be getting at launch and then immediately post-launch.
I think we get 9 maps,
Battlefield
right?
6 will launch with a total of 9 maps, including Siege of Cairo, which is located in Egypt, Iberian Offensive.
Very excited about Operation Firestorm remake. This map was okay. I actually didn't mind Iberian Offensive. That was actually a lot of fun.
Located in Gibraltar, and Liberation Peak, located in Chakistan. Empire State, this is going to be featuring a
Chakistan? That's not a real place, is it? That doesn't sound normal.
dense urban environment ideal for close quarters combat. We have Manhattan Bridge, which is located in Brooklyn. Saints Quarter, located in Gibraltar again. New Sobek City, a new map set in Egypt.
This map reminds me very much of Strike at Karkand. It just has that look of Strike at Karkand. So very excited about that map.
And Mirak Valley, located in Gibraltar. And finally, Operation Firestorm, a reimagining of a classic map from Battlefield 3. And yeah, that's a pretty damn good lineup to start us off at launch. Also considering this has a full-blown Battle Royale mode and a single-player campaign to boot.
Yeah, and people were complaining about like the number of maps that we're getting for Battlefield 6 at launch. They're like, oh, that's it? That's all we get? Bro, are we seriously complaining about that right now? First and foremost, we're going to get more maps. Plain and simple. We're not going to have to pay for them. Shocker. But it takes a long time, no doubt, to really balance 64 players in a big map. Or in a small map. You got to figure out how that shit works. How you're going to make it work. So it takes a long time. Everybody's like talking about, I don't know if it's positively, but people pointed out how many maps are coming in Black Ops 7. What is it, like 17 or something like that? 17 maps? Who the hell needs that many? I don't understand this obsession with like map count in first-person shooters. Don't you want to get used to the map layouts ever? Instead of rotating through 17 different fucking maps, don't you want to get used to like a handful of them so that way you know where all the spots are, you can find your own hidey hole, whatever the case may be. Why are we obsessed with map count? 9 maps is a good chunk to start with. It's enough for us to get acclimated to the maps, layouts, and different game modes that they'll be featuring. And then later on, we add new maps and we get used to those and so on and so forth. I don't understand people's obsession with map count. It's ridiculous. 9 maps is fine. There, I said
and
it.
Thankfully, we're getting a good mix of small, medium, and large-scale maps. As for Mirak Valley, first impressions are really good. A lot of...
I know he said Mirak Valley, but it sounded like he said Miak Valley. I don't know.
Veteran Battlefield players that got their hands on it have already praised it for feeling like a traditional Battlefield map. Be prepared for lots of sniper fire, utilizing movement systems into cover, and more importantly, working together as a squad by foot and by vehicle. It'll be a true test for Battlefield fans, which is fantastic to hear. So not too shabby, but post-launch is also looking pretty good too. Here's what DICE had to say about the immediate post-launch future of Battlefield 6. So Battlefield 6 Season 1, the first major free update, will be offering new maps, modes, weapons, and more, and it will be beginning on October 28th, 2025 across all platforms. So yeah, starting out on that day, October 28th, our first season.
There it is. I was going to pull up this little thing, but here we go. So he's going to be talking about October 28th is season 1 when it starts. We get a new mode called Strike Point with a new map, new vehicle, 3 new weapons, and a new attachment, which is, and it says and more, so who knows what that means. Rail cover and LPVO. I feel like that's just a waste of an attachment slot. Let me put a rail cover on this. Doesn't make sense. And then November 18th, new map again. So they're look at this. Within the span of just about 2 months, we get 3 new maps. So people complain about what, 9 maps? Well, okay, 2 new maps and then like a limited event map. So 2 maps within 2 months. So a map a month. And I think they said that they were actually working on making that a thing. And with how many teams are on this game, I can't see that ever being a problem. So you get Blackwell Fields, which just looks like it. Man, it looks wide open. All the cover is right here behind the oil pumps. And then you get Eastwood, which I believe they said is based in LA. And what most people think might be, well, more than likely, the Battle Royale map is just going to be a combination of a bunch of these maps, potentially. New limited time mode there. Sabotage. Battle pickups come back from Battlefield 4, where you can pick up specialized weapons to use for a very short period of time. New shotgun, the DB12, which I think is what it was called in previous games, but I can't remember, or it's pretty close. New pistol, the M357, and then a new attachment, the Troy angled foregrip. And then in December, we got a limited time event map with Empire State. It's called Ice Lock Empire State. Ice Lock is the mode that will be played on that, and then you get a new melee weapon, the Ice Climbing Axe or Pickaxe, Ice Pickaxe, whatever. And sadly, you won't be able to climb with it. That'd be pretty cool. But, you know, it's just a new cool melee weapon.
Kicks off with Rogue Ops, an experience where squads will be challenged to use their skill and achieve victory on a brand new map, Blackwell Fields. Now on October 18th, the homegrown United States Alliance defies the odds in California Resistance and
I think he said October. I think he meant November.
Takes the battle to Eastwood, another new map. And on December 9th, the tide of war shifts once again with a sub-zero chill during the winter offensive that blankets the Empire State in snow, which is an update to, of course, the Empire State map. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to be getting new weapons, modes, and vehicles throughout Season 1, as well as upcoming seasons. This is an excellent start to Battlefield 6's post-launch plan.
I mean, it's pretty soon after launch, which is kind of crazy to see. Not a lot of games who want to do the whole live service seasonal stuff do that. We're talking on the 28th, 18 days after launch, Season 1 starts. Normally, it's like months after, so they are going gung-ho on this one.
But can DICE really keep this type of support up throughout the entire life of...
Again, like I said, with how many studios they have on it, I don't see it being a problem.
Battlefield 6. We'll see, but if the beta and pre-order numbers indicate anything, I say that is a yes. So this is EA's big chance. Now, we got to talk about performance and optimization. This is always a big one. We've already experienced games this year that have had absolutely horrible performance and optimization. So let's go ahead and talk about it with Battlefield 6. It seems like a very big strength this year for this game. So as you guys know,
it's really
past
good.
Battlefield titles have usually struggled with performance at launch, but this doesn't appear to be the case with Battlefield 6 if the beta is any indicator, and that recent build. Now,
I would say the beta is a pretty damn good indicator because there were so many people playing it that the servers held pretty well. Performance-wise, in terms of gameplay, I didn't see any major issues. I didn't experience it. I did, however, I was very confused as to why when I chose the performance mode, when I was still using my 120, 165 hertz, but my 120 hertz monitor over here, I didn't see it running at 120 hertz or 120 FPS. It didn't look like it changed anything to me. I think what it was there for was simply to improve the input latency, and that's it. I don't think it actually was running at a higher frame rate. I think something like this, I was really hoping that it would come to consoles. I really was. But sadly, I don't think it is.
The majority of players, both on PC and console, talk about how smooth Battlefield 6 ran on their system. For me, it also ran really, really good on the beta. This was easily one of the best Battlefield beta experiences I've ever had, thanks to how well the game was optimized. Let me tell you what, I did not want it to end. And I think a lot of this also is due to the fact with really good back-end net coding and server coding, but also the fact that, yeah, they are not supporting ray tracing at launch. However, ray tracing is really cool and all, but man, it does really take up a ton of resources. It's not really 100% necessary in a multiplayer.
Now, he said they're not supporting it at launch. I don't think they're going to support it ever, personally. They don't want to tank the performance, and I'm pretty sure they came out and said that they're just not even entertaining the idea of ray tracing. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. Look at the way the game looks now. It looks amazing. Why would you need ray tracing?
Player shooter that looks as good as Battlefield 6.
They let the artists
But the
cook,
big question is this, of course. Would you like to see the option of ray tracing added down the road, even if it does come with...
Can we please leave ray tracing by the wayside, please? I've had it with ray tracing. It was a cool idea at first. Now everybody's trying to do it, and it's ruining video games.
Some performance hiccups, sound off in the comments down below.
Because half the time it doesn't even look good.
Hopefully they can get ray tracing in the game that is really optimized, of course. Maybe that's the plan. We'll have to wait and see. Now, since the beta, DICE has also done some really good netcode and server-side improvements. So apparently having nearly 500,000 people on the beta have really helped them fine-tune everything for launch. So crossing our fingers, at launch, out of the gates, we get...
I mean, here's the thing, you know, Call of Duty 4 really popped off Call of Duty for the mainstream, right? That was when Call of Duty really became full-bore mainstream. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people playing it. I genuinely think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was even confirmed, this is the most people that have ever played Battlefield in one go. 500,000 people for a beta. So I think Battlefield is having its Call of Duty 4 moment right here with Battlefield 6. I really do. And I'm hoping that it does. I'm really hoping that, you know, Battlefield, it's not like it hasn't been mainstream, but it hasn't seen these numbers ever in the series history. So I'm hoping that this is the Call of Duty 4 moment for Battlefield, and we can really start seeing Battlefield take the mainstream spotlight, the spotlight that it deserves.
Experience. Oh, and yeah, by the way, Battlefield 6 will be getting a proper battle royale mode too. According to early details and leaked gameplay, it will feature a zero tolerance, meaning if you touch the boundary, you're instantly eliminated with no gradual health drain like other battle royale shooters.
And I've been praising that ever since. I've literally said that in the past about battle royale games. I said, why can't people just die when the storm touches you? There's a reason for the storm. It's supposed to be deadly. You're supposed to not want to be in it. You know, and even in the original Firestorm in Battlefield 5, the wall of fire would go past you and you'd just be burning the whole time. But you wouldn't be dying, you'd just be burning. It's a wall of fire. You'd be dead. So
first, this will definitely up the tension as that zone continues to close in on you and your buddies. And yeah, there's even a leak that showcases entire buildings toppling over in Battle Royale. So yeah, full destruction will be a thing.
They did that with Battlefield's Battle Royale mode.
The BR mode
when the storm came in on buildings, it would destroy them completely.
On October 28th, 2025, but this is just a leak for now. We'll have to wait for further confirmation as to when this mode actually releases. And we're also going to be getting Battlefield Portal, and this isn't just going to be another game mode that's tacked on to the experience, at least according to DICE. They're saying, hey, here, go absolutely nuts in a giant sandbox where you can create basically anything you want. They're calling these creations, community experiences, and there is going to be a server browser where you can go through and play the approved stuff. That means you can recreate a horde mode experience or go completely off the rails and create like a 2D top-down shooter. These tools are going to be extremely flexible. We have not seen this robust of a tool set for a Battlefield game. So yeah, get hyped. I really think we're going to be seeing some absolutely wild creations.
I'm really hoping that somebody will be able to use the tools to an extent where it's like we're getting like full expansions for like campaign and stuff. I think that'd be really cool. Or just like full campaigns in their own right, like maybe not just something expanding the base game campaign, but like new story things. But I don't know how far they're going to let people go in terms of like if you wanted to hire your own voice actors and stuff like that. You know, Bethesda games have been seeing it for years at this point. And those tools are janky at best, and you know, but people have still been able to get full voice acting into their full on like completely separate campaigns for like Skyrim and stuff. I mean, we're talking like 15-hour experiences by some people just doing it randomly through the tools that they were given. So I'm hoping that the tools in Battlefield 6 are that robust. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to see. I mean, somebody comes up with a horde mode, that'd be great too. I'd play the shit out of it.
From Battlefield Portal. All right, so yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about single player as well. We're actually getting a full-blown single-player campaign for a Battlefield game. Rejoice. To go into further details here without spoiling the story,
so it's been
the
a while.
Battlefield 6 campaign, from what has been played thus far, seems to be more of a proving ground to learn about all the class systems for multiplayer. Now, the story is pretty standard fare, and apparently a lot of the missions play it safe, copying from what works from other well-known FPS games out on the market right now. But the AI apparently also has a lot to be desired, but perhaps a day one patch would remedy this. But I think DICE's real focus here is clearly the multiplayer this go around. Narratively, it's really tough to judge a game's story just from a small slice, but from early impressions, characters are a bit on the bland side supposedly. So this is a military-centric story, of course, where the plot is held together more about what's happening in the world and in the battles themselves than deep individual personalities. But hopefully we can get something truly unique here.
To be fair, Call of Duty has had a lot of duds too, and especially since campaign has never actually disappeared from Call of Duty. Every single one has a campaign. So unless you played Black Ops 3 on PS3 and 360, then you didn't get one. But all you got was multiplayer. But that was like a special situation. Overall, every Call of Duty has had one, and they all haven't really been bangers. Like I said, Modern Warfare 2019 was possibly one of the best games they've made in the entire franchise, in my opinion, in terms of everything with that game. The campaign was fantastic. The multiplayer was addictive as hell. And I should know I almost put 1,000 hours into that game, and I know that's like child's play for a lot of people, but I mean, like, that's literally a lot of time into one game.
But only time will tell. I'm just happy single player is back, though. I'm absolutely thrilled.
How are they gonna?
They did not skip out on this.
That's the thing. How are they gonna ever learn to improve their single player storytelling if they don't just do it? That's something that I've always thought about. I'm like, you know, 2042 avoided the campaign altogether because sure, Battlefield was built on the multiplayer. 1942, that's all there was. There was no campaign. But I think, and even Battlefield 2 didn't really have a campaign either. It was the single player was basically just multiplayer, but with AI, essentially, broken up into missions. But when Battlefield did a campaign, I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially Battlefield 1. That one hit hard, dude. That was really good. So when they get the right writers, the right storyboard artists, the right people to do the campaign, it kind of hits, right? They just need to do it to figure out what they need to do to improve upon it later on. So this one might be a little bit meh. The next one could hit hard because they learned from the last time. But if you don't do it, you don't learn.
single player campaign, because personally it adds a lot of context to what's happening in multiplayer, and that's the sort of thing I love. So yeah, things are looking very good for Battlefield 6 according to early reviews from both the beta and those content creators and game journalists who got their hands on the most recent build of the game, including the large-scale maps like Muir Valley and even the single-player campaign. So Battlefield 6 is shaping up to be an ambitious return to its classic form with modern tweaks. Of course, the foundations like classes, gadgets, vehicles, mobility, and map design are all very promising here. I think the only thing DICE needs to do is address any bugs or issues that arise at launch, and also balance some things. It seems like there are going to be some very OP things about some classes that could be really, really concerning. We'll have to wait and see. Now, if they manage to fix such issues quickly and communicate with the community regularly and effectively, and continue to pump out high quality content well after launch, then yes, Battlefield 6 could easily go down as one of the best Battlefields ever made. So as you can tell, I am extremely excited for Battlefield 6 here, and cannot wait for October.
Spent an hour going through this video. That's how you do a reaction. We're not gonna go through that one because he's just going through this. So I mean, yeah, it all sounds really good. For the most part, I think that there's quite a few things that they need to do correctly, like a server browser. But overall, I'm very excited for Battlefield 6 coming in just under 2 days. So, okay, so 3 hours ago, he put out another one. Does this guy get triple digits usually? No. That's why this number doesn't matter. No, he doesn't usually get triple digits. Kind of hits maybe every once in a while. That one definitely hit up pretty good for him. And there's a triple digit right there. He makes a lot of Borderlands games, or Borderlands videos. Borderlands games. Look at how many. This game just came out. Look at how many videos he's made on it. There's a triple digit one. So it's every once in a while. But this is why this right here, stupid, useless metric. Anyway. Okay. That was good. Now, as far as what we're going to do now. I really was actually enjoying myself. But because I'm afraid to go back in, redo all those levels again, and then potentially die in the same spot and have it break again, I'm not really willing to do that. I don't want to. Even off camera, I don't really want to. It's really annoying. But you can see right here, it's pretty much the same character throughout the rest of them. This is the only one where the character is different. For some reason, I don't know why they did that, but the first game has this character, this guy right here, the whole time. So. But I do have them installed, and they don't, like I said, they don't really follow each other. So, I don't know. Maybe I could just fire this up and play this. I don't know. I don't know if Jeremy and Alex are getting on for Apex. They usually play like every single night. No, they're not on. Yankees and Blue Jays are tied, though. At the end of the fourth. Who knows? You see how it kind of basically looks like... It seems like they really didn't improve upon their visual design from the first game all the way up to here. Okay, so it looks like here you've got Belial showing back up. So it looks like they actually wanted him to be another character, which is interesting. Yeah, you see how it just doesn't... I don't know if these are... Is that Redemption? I actually had no idea that they all looked like this. Hold up. What's the span of time there? 04, 07, 09. And we just looked at Redemption. So from 2004 to 2011, the visual style didn't change at all. Because that looked just like Painkiller Overdose. And then you've got Reoccurring Evil, which is where THQ picked it up. Now we're talking like it's back in 2012, just a year before PS4 came out. So we're still in the 360 PS3 era, and that's kind of what it looks like. Also, it looks like the UI didn't really change that much. Wow. Man, you would think that they would have made it look different. And then you got Painkiller Hell and Damnation, which was also a PS3 360 game. What's it called? Hell and Damnation. Yeah. Came out in same year. So this game came out the same year this one came out. But the visual style is so drastically different. That's wild to me. Let me just take a look real quick. I'm curious about this. Painkiller. Recurring Evil. Right? Somebody did a review of it 2 years ago. Damn, people really... So you take a look at this. Okay. This is more like PS3 360-ish. Still pretty simple geometry, but... kind of looks similar to all the other games. And then in the same year, especially with the UI, they basically recycled the whole UI. And then you go Hell and Damnation, same channel. Look at this. Look at how different that looks. This actually looks more like a PS3 360 era game. How do you do that in the same year? You bring out two games in the same franchise in the same year, and they both look extremely different. I don't know. I have no idea. That is I didn't realize that. That is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Damn. I don't know. And plus, if any one of these games has an issue like this one does, where if you die in the dead marshes and you try to load back in, it just crashes, and then you can never get back in, I don't know if I want to touch these. But I can only imagine, like, going through this, then going to this, then going to this, and going to this, and feeling like the game just, you're not even playing a different game. It just all looks the same. That's crazy to me. I wonder if this game is still up and running. Secret World. I actually played this when you had to purchase it. That was like earliest. Anyway, I'm gonna go bathroom real quick. Be right back. All right, here, real quick. Yeah, I wanted to play through the entire franchise before the next game came out on the 21st, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm not going to lie. Like, these all look exactly the same. I didn't realize that. You see how the artwork kind of changes, though? The artwork progressively gets better, but the game doesn't. Let me fire this out. I want to see this. Editor. Interesting. It has an editor. You know, back when they provided that shit for free and said, hey, play around. And people were like, okay. And that's how we got shit like Dota. Let's see if it'll launch. Yeah, I think we'll just dick around for the last half hour or so. Kind of just sounds like this one's gonna be loud too. Oh no. It's got the same issue. Hello? Oh my god, even the menus are the same! They kept the resolution from the last game I tried. Are these all tied together or something? Like, what the fuck is this? You know, there it goes. Yeah, there it goes. I now have to close Steam because it's now broken. Alt F4 doesn't work at all. I can't believe this. Keep in mind, that's just the menu running like that. I was playing Overdose the other night, and in-game, it ran fine. I mean, at 4K maxed out, it's such an old, we're talking about 2004 here. 4K maxed out, I was getting like 200 FPS or whatever, so really not that hard to run. But for whatever reason, the menu runs like ass, and you just saw it. I can't believe that, dude. They literally, they recycled the entire menu. That's like really loud. Okay, let's bring that down, please. Jeez. They added a couple extra features like this, but I'm like, this is literally the same menu. It's the same settings. Oh, they have an FOV slider now too. Ooh, 130. Holy crap. Let's go to 100 and see how that looks. I turn off the warp effect because it doesn't look good. Then we do multi-sample. I can do 6 times multi-sampling in these. If this literally looks the same way, then it's the same. Same difficulty. It's the same text. Their type or font. Bill Sherman gripped the sword of Seraphim, uncertain what he'd do with the power it granted him. Could he really rule purgatory? He cut the air with the blade. At least the mighty sword would come in handy if he had to smite a legion or two of dark forces. Suddenly the sword shook in his hand. Burning pain seared up his arm, and he was forced to loosen his grip. Stunned, he could only watch as the sword flew off into the darkness. I'm not reading all this. And these games have a real... This is literally the same. It has an unfortunate thing where it stutters when it loads a new asset. That's some like old game shit. It's running on an SSD, but it stutters every single time it has to load a new asset. New enemy, new area, new gun, whatever. Oh my god. The same loading screen? Like, they literally... It's the same shit. You would think you literally could play each one of the games back to back to back to back and not know you were playing a different game. And that was in the span of 8 years. From 2004 to 2012, it looked exactly the same. I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But good lord, you'd expect some innovation, improvement in the graphics area. Maybe some different menus. But I can see where they might be going with it, and that is, if you use the same assets, people know what game they're playing. They're like, yeah, this is Painkiller. Oh my, it literally looks the same. Oh my god. Maybe a little better lighting, but that's it. No mouse smoothing. Bring this down to 10. Dude, see how it's stuttering constantly? It's not great. That's really bad, actually. Look at this. The stuttering is really bad. But again, a new... This is the weapon from the first game. I know that. We cannot pick up a shotgun now? Why? Most powerful weapon in the game right here. Because it drags everybody to their doom. Or lasers them. Now it tells me I can pick up a shotgun. Oh, good. Thank you for letting me know. Shotgun's on number 4. Oh, these guys I remember from Overdose. See? I've only played one other game in the entire series, and I already remember the enemies that are here. This stuttering is really bad, I'm not gonna lie. This is like really bad. Even Overdose wasn't like this. But I wonder, is it still shift to shoot the shotgun? Nope. Interesting. In Overdose, you can actually hit shift to shoot the shotgun without actually pulling it out. Which I thought was a pretty neat little feature. You can do that. You can do this. This is stupid. This is so dumb. That the games are exactly the same as you go across through the entire franchise. I don't know why they're just not bothering to just come over. Let's do this. Most powerful weapon in the entire game right here. Just like a cube from the first, or from Overdose. And then just spam the shit out of it. Looks like they improved the pickup mechanic of the coins. Yeah, this is... That's insane. It's literally the same game. All right, let's fire up Hell and Damnation. Let's see how different... Let's see if they even use... That's interesting. Let's see if they even use different, like, menus. The game visually looks a lot better. But that one, I think apart from just better lighting, pretty much looks the same as the first 4 games. This is the only one with achievements in it. I would play it on my PS3, but I don't have it. And I don't even think you can get a digital version of it. Nordic Games. Oh, that's why they changed their name to THQ Nordic. Farm 51. I remember these guys. Now we're on to Unreal Engine. I think the other ones were on Unreal as well, but I could be wrong. Plays best on Alienware. What? Since when? Alienware's a computer. It'll play on a... Plays best on a computer. Alienware. Give me a break, dude. All right, we're looking at... Okay, it's VSync. So all the other games Do not have VSync as an option. You cannot VSync them, and it looks terrible. Looks like this has workshop built in, so already a better menu. Let's go to the options. The volume is not overbearingly loud. 1440p. Let's go to 4K and see what happens. 4K, frame rate smoothing. Interesting. Save the settings. Let's see what happens. It's already like, oh, there. Oh, it has to do a full reset. That was weirdly quick. So now it's put it down to 60 FPS if I do VSync. But if I turn off frame smoothing, let's save settings. Frame smoothing probably is like, oh hey, let's restart it, because I'm wondering if, see, it automatically restarted it before, but that was when I turned on VSync. Now if I turn it off, do I have to restart it and then it'll turn itself off? I don't know. Okay, so the menu's locked in at 62, right? Let's start a campaign and see how this goes. Community levels. There's a co-op mode. Sure, why not? Okay, menu's already better. Yeah, there's even motion blur. There's even motion blur. I did not expect that at all. Okay, but you can only change the graphic settings outside. Oh, okay. General. Ah, here we go. No mouse smoothing. Enough of that nonsense. Let's go back down to 10. The constant noises, man, I don't miss that at all from the old days.
Good. Yes. Stylish.
Jumping is still the best way to get around. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? The way that those guys are moving. First of all, the physics. They've got physics involved, which is good. I don't like the screen tearing. But I can't go above 62 FPS. Weapon bob, head bob. There we go. Let's turn that down. FOV. Bring that up to 100. That's better. So they're still not doing a whole sprinting thing. Shift is still actually sounds like it's clicking. So it's something to do with shooting. Let's go back to the main menu. I don't know why I'm not getting above 60 FPS. Or 62. Oh, because I thought I turned that off. Let's turn that off. Thank you. Pretty sure I turned that off before, douchebag. Continue. Alright. Quick loading, like that.
You make
Yeah, we're looking at 90 FPS. Everything maxed out at 4K. So let's go back and just put it down to 1080p. I'm okay with 1080p because, yeah, it's on a bigger screen, but that doesn't bother me. I'd rather play at 1080p and have maxed out graphics. Look at that. Almost 200 FPS. And my GPU isn't even sweating. Because on a big screen like this, it really doesn't, it's not that big a deal.
proud. Good. Yes.
Yeah, they drop from fallen enemies. It's their souls, but it sucks because it takes an extra second to spawn in, which is really annoying. That I have to wait. Come on, I know they're gonna... Okay. Aha! Yeah, so it's like the shotgun from Overdose. You get to basically freeze them with the alternative shot. Yeah, this... I mean, visually it's very, very different. Which is good. But it has... it has the at the time, the modern... graphics of like PS3 360 era, motion blur, better lighting, the gray look, but the visuals are much better. I like this, and it works. Ow! I forgot those are explosive. A terror car on every loop by meeting some. Yeah. Oh. We got chests. Right, it's talking about like, hey, you know, you can get coins and stuff. Yeah, the whole like the hitbox around coins is kind of annoyingly tight. I don't like that. Like if I go near it, I should just be, hey, achievement. I can't believe there's co-op in this game. That's pretty cool. Maybe Jeremy will want to play this with me. He used to have it. Actual disc. Now try to find the second one. Well, everything's brown and the cross is brown, so... And now, of course, there's... He says something every single time you jump. Or he makes a noise. Nice to see the UI is different. They wanted to find the other cross. Is that what it was? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Ah. I didn't pick up all the gold. Apparently didn't find all the ammo, even though I mean, unless I just shot. Alright, terror cards. What do I got now? World moves 2 times slower. I see. Nah. No. Start the game. So... Is this still tutorial? Oh my god. That was a hell of a drop. Yeah, scroll down or the... You know... The classic number button. There's a console. It's still the best. It's a one-shot kill. At least they make a noise when they die. Or when they disintegrate. This time, because before... Oh. They kept this mode, and that reticle is still the same. The way it looks is still the same, just looks brighter. Great, Daniel. Daniel. So it's a different guy every time, then. Because in Reoccurring Evil, it was Bill. I don't know who it was in the first game. The funniest part, though, is that... The funniest part... is that in the first game, there was actual, like, cutscenes. There you go. See? But then after that, there was, like, no cutscenes. There was a cutscene at the beginning of Overdose. Kind of like this, I guess, just to, and as an explanation. But all throughout the first original game, there were cutscenes in between each level, so... I didn't see that with Overdose. They just had the initial cutscene at the beginning, and then you just hop from one level to the next once you finish it.
My name is Daniel Garner. I've been dead for so long, it's hard to remember who I really was.
Oh, that's why you didn't get splashed.
Not a very good person, that's for sure. But even someone like me gets a chance. For a moment in my life, the light appeared. Catherine.
Wow, they actually had like FMV for some of those those memories.
Vanished so fast.
I remember. This is the first game. This wasn't a remake of the first game, was it?
I don't know what happened to Catherine. She deserved a better place. I landed here, the world between heaven and hell. I fought with the devil himself. They promised me that I'd join Catherine. Angels and demons tricked me. There's no way out of here. In hell, there's no such thing as the end of pain. When you think it's over, the pain just gets worse.
That was the first game, though. Wow, we actually have in-game cutscene, too.
Daniel, wake up. He's coming.
It's pretty bad.
Daniel Garner, I have an offer for you.
Yeah? I have one too. Die!
I'm afraid that's my line. But now, do you want your Catherine back?
What is he, the Grim Reaper?
I'll take you to her.
Right. I've heard that before.
Collect 7 legions of souls for me, and you'll meet your beloved wife.
How can I be sure you're not lying like the others?
Why does he look like he's fat?
There are only 2 things in the world that are certain, and you're talking to one of them.
Yeah, and you're not the tax collector.
Ooh.
7,000 souls for your true love.
Oh, so
Why are
he's
you
without
helping me?
Because you are an abomination in the battle with the Hell Lords. You should have died 1,000 times. But you're still alive. You don't belong here. You disrupt the equilibrium. 7,000 souls, Daniel. Then you'll find Catherine.
It's a pretty gnarly looking weapon, I'll tell you that much. Oh, jeez. Alright. So, saw blades then. I remember playing this. I think this is the first game. Can you? Thank you. Just, there you go. I'm fairly certain this is the first game. I don't remember this weapon, but this is exactly where you start. You start in the graveyard. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look because I'm pretty sure this is just the first game remade, which is not bad. I mean, the first game, I played through the whole way. I don't remember any of it. I remember clearly. I remember this at least. I wonder what that secondary fire does. It looks like it drags. It actually collects the souls for me. So I don't have to go pick them up, which is good. But it also, you know, kills them. Yeah. Huh. I don't know what the coins are for, but maybe for the ferryman. Yeah. Dude, this one's number 8? Jeez, I have to use the scroll wheel with this one. Good job. Disappear? Yeah, look at that. It just brings them to me. I like that. That's crazy. So that's what I think this is. I think Hell and Damnation was actually a remake of the first game. Let's take a look real quick. Both a remake of and a sequel to Painkiller. Thought so. That's what I thought. I'm like, I recognize this first level. It was a freaking remake. But says it's also a sequel to the first Painkiller. Interesting. Mixed reception among gaming publications, and back then gaming publications were actually taken seriously. So we're looking at maybe, 60 some odd percent. PS3 probably got 42% because it probably didn't run very well on that game, on that console. Dude, the original Painkiller was developed by People Can Fly. No shit. Damn. Okay. Didn't know that. Cool. Oh, we got two achievements. There you go. There's probably like a whole bunch of like co-op achievements in here too, because it says specifically solo campaign. Solo. Is there anything that says co-op? That's probably the thing I'm using is is the soul catcher, I would assume, because it takes souls. Finish special Halloween map and collect all lollipops for Lucifer. There's actually a Halloween. What are the odds that I play this in October? Solo survival mode. There's a survival mode. So, I'm not seeing anything that says co-op. Nobody's playing the multiplayer. There's no way. Not a chance. Well, I didn't see anything that said co-op, but cool, man. Okay, so playing through the entire franchise makes no sense because like we saw, they all look the same all the way up until Painkiller Hell and Damnation. This is a remake of the original game, which was Painkiller. Well, I got the Black Edition, which is like, oh, this has every DLC or update for it. But all these games are literally the same game. Same UI, same menus, same problems. So if I'm to take anything from that, I'm guessing that the bug where you crash in this probably happens in the rest of these too at some point. I don't know where, but I feel like they would. So that's very eye-opening. I can just uninstall these because they're all the same game. Like I feel like the original game is the only one that really had any kind of like it has a story. You could see that. And like I said, when I played through the original, it had cutscenes between each level. So I imagine that this one's probably going to have that, but now it's real-time cutscenes. So that's pretty cool. Plays like butter, for the most part, minus the loading issues and whatnot. But cool. Maybe I'll play through that. But the new Painkiller comes out on the 21st, and I aim to grab it. So, you know, we'll play that at some point. But anyway, you're a real-time cutscene. You're certainly a real-time something. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. I know tonight was a little bit different, odd. I just didn't really want to play any more Battlefield 2042. It's run its course. I'm done with that. But join me tomorrow night for more Apex Legends with Jeremy and Alex. We're going to see if we can get ourselves a win. And I hope to see you guys there. 7 o'clock sharp. But until then, I'm Meta Wolf. This was interesting. I'll see you guys.